everyone. Welcome to episode 7 of Safety Snacks, a series of bite-sized videos and interactive workshops that will help you protect yourself from doxing, hacking, and other kinds of online abuse. I'm Victoria Vilk, and I run PEN America's Online Abuse Defense Program.
And I'm Harlow Holmes, Director of Digital Security at Freedom of the Press Foundation.
So in the last 2 episodes, we showed you how to get a grip on your Twitter and Facebook accounts, 2 of the platforms that journalists and writers use the most for their work. But we know that journalists also use other social media platforms. Photojournalists and multimedia journalists in particular use Instagram, and most working professionals nowadays use LinkedIn. And yet, even though LinkedIn is so ubiquitous, nearly all of us forget to think about our privacy settings on there. You may actually be horrified to discover just how much private information LinkedIn is leaking about you without you knowing it. So in this episode, we're going to show you how to get a grip on those accounts too. But before we dive in, Harlow, can you explain to us why it's a problem to bleed private information on social media?
Yeah. Abusive trolls comb our social media accounts to find private information about us and our loved ones. They can use information like your birthday, home address, your mother's maiden name to hack, dox, impersonate you. And so by triggering our privacy and security settings, you make it harder for them. We also sometimes forget that social media platforms are not actually free. We are paying for them not with money, but with our information and attention. So they're tracking us all the time and selling our info to data brokers and other nefarious actors. And if you're not sure what data brokers are, check out episode 2 of our Safety Snacks.
All right, Harlow, I'm totally convinced, but where do I start?
The best place to start, even before you dig into the settings, is to zoom out and think about how and why you're using your social media accounts. The best piece of advice we can give you is to create boundaries between your personal and professional presences online. The goal is to keep our public lives public and our private lives private. Victoria, talk us through how we can do that on Insta.
Well, if you're using Insta for work, the very best option is actually to have 2 separate accounts. For your professional life, you can have a public facing account, and we actually recommend looking into having either a business account or trying to get verified because that actually makes it much harder for people to impersonate you. For your personal life, you can have an account that's just for friends and family, and you set that account to private. This is especially a good idea if you cover really intense subjects like white supremacy or extremism, but you still want to have some kind of online presence for your family and your friends.
It sounds like a pain. How exactly do I do that?
The good news is actually super easy. You go to settings in the Insta app on your phone, then you go to privacy and you toggle your account to private. That means that only people who currently follow you will have access to your content, and anyone who is a new follower, you'd have to approve them before they can see your posts. But keep in mind that even if you have separate Insta accounts for your private and professional life, you actually still need to be mindful of your privacy and safety settings. So Harlow, talk us through how to protect all of our Insta accounts.
Let's back up to the first steps you always want to take when securing any online account, which is to have secure login to prevent hacking. Make sure you have a long, complicated, and unique password, and also be sure to set up two-factor authentication or 2FA. And if you have no idea on earth what we're talking about or want guidance about the best way to do this, make sure you check out episode 3 of our Safety Snacks. Now, let's see where you're logged in. I mean, how many times have each and every one of us logged into Insta on random devices, like while visiting family or friends or while traveling, and forgotten about it? This is the time to check. Click the menu button on the top right, then go to settings, then security, and then login activity. If you're logged in on devices that you no longer use or from places that you aren't actually located in, click this wasn't me. Go ahead and pause here if you need a moment. It's also good to check what apps and websites are linked to your account. If a random app is connected to your account and it's not trustworthy or secure, it can make you vulnerable to abuse. So scroll down a bit, click on apps and websites, and make sure to remove all the apps and websites that are linked to your Insta account that you don't recognize, trust, or need. Okay, again, go ahead and pause here if you need it.
So another important set of settings to review is tagging and mentions, which abusive trolls can use to come after you. For tagging, go to settings, then privacy, then posts, and decide who to allow tags from. we recommend you select people you follow, and you also want to enable manually approved tags. For mentions, you're still in that privacy part of your settings, but you click on mentions, decide who you want to allow mentions from. Here, limit this as much as you can. In addition to tags and mentions, you might actually want to adjust who you receive direct messages from. You're still in settings, you're still in privacy. This time you click on messages. And again, we recommend limiting that as much as possible. While you're in messages, you might also want to limit who can add you to groups.
Oh, why groups?
Well, so abusive trolls can actually add you to groups to harass you or to make it easier for a bunch of other people to harass you as part of a coordinated harassment campaign. And if you find yourself on the receiving end of a cyber mob, you might want to enable a feature called limits, which helps temporarily limit unwanted interactions. Go to settings, then privacy, and click on limits. And you can easily toggle that on and off anytime you need it. And finally, for our last Insta tip, you want to stop the platform from automatically syncing all of your contacts. You don't want Instagram to know absolutely everyone in your phone. This can put your sources at risk and expose your loved ones to tracking and harassment too. So go ahead and go to settings, then account, and then contact syncing, where you can turn off connect contacts. So if you want to pause here and just generally play around with your privacy settings on Insta, go ahead, and then we're going to switch to a different platform now.
All right. Let's switch gears to the platform that many of us probably already use professionally, LinkedIn. Even if you only use LinkedIn just to add your new job or share something that you've published, that doesn't mean that you're not leaking data all over the place. So, like with Insta, we want you to have a secure login by using a strong, complex, unique password, enabling two-factor authentication. And if you need help with any of that, just check out episodes 3 and 4 of our Safety Snacks.
Hello, I'm quite proud to tell you that my LinkedIn account login is quite secure. So what's next? If I did that right, what do I do now?
Well, first, you want to figure out what info is publicly available on your profile, especially if you're old like me and set up
We're
your
both old.
profile a billion years ago. But on your profile, click on your profile pic on the top left, go to settings, and then choose visibility. Click edit your public profile, where you can see your public facing LinkedIn profile. Make sure that you're comfortable with everything that's on there and remove as much private, sensitive, or unnecessary info as possible. Feel free to pause here while you do that.
Now, if you're a journalist and you use LinkedIn, you might want to be extra careful about connecting with sensitive sources on that platform because it could actually be visible to other people. People can even notice when you visit their LinkedIn profile as a visitor. So just keep that in mind. And you definitely want to consider limiting connections visibility. To do that, go to settings, visibility, and then connections, and go ahead and limit that to the extent that you're comfortable.
What else? What about the other things that are visible that you might want to protect?
So you can actually control who can see your email address on your LinkedIn profile, and we recommend reducing the visibility of your email on LinkedIn too. Under settings, go to visibility, then go to who can see or download your email address, where you can choose between your direct connections, which are your first degree connections, or connections of your connections, which they call your second degree connections. Regardless of which settings you select, please, please, please use a public facing email address and not your primary personal email address. So again, feel free to pause here and make sure to secure the visibility of your email.
And now let's look at how people can find your profile. Go to profile discovery using email address and phone number. We recommend changing it to first degree connection or first and secondary connections for email, and changing it to nobody for your phone number. The goal here is to make it harder for abusive trolls to connect an identifier like your email or phone number with all of that info that you already have visible on LinkedIn. Depending on how concerned you are about severe online abuse, you may consider reducing the visibility of your last name on your profile. So click on who can see your last name and choose between having your full last name visible or just the first initial showing to everybody. There are a bunch of other useful settings in the visibility section that you might want to take a look at and just adjust as you see fit. So feel free to pause here and play around.
Now we're going to figure out what's connected to or syncing with your LinkedIn account. LinkedIn defaults you to syncing your calendar and contacts, which is super creepy, actually. You don't want LinkedIn to basically track all of the people in your phone and all of your appointments. That is too much access for a major corporation, in my opinion. So we recommend turning off calendar syncing and contact syncing. To do that, go to settings, account preferences, and syncing options, and restrict syncing as much as possible. So again, if you want to pause here and do that real quick, that would be good. And finally, if you have connected random apps to your LinkedIn and you're not sure how trustworthy those apps are, you might want to remove the access those apps have. So under account preferences, go to partners and services and revoke any applications linked to your LinkedIn account that you don't need or trust.
In our safety snacks, we try to focus on platforms that we know writers and journalists use the most: Twitter, Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn. But we know you might also use TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, Reddit, and others. So we strongly encourage you to review the privacy and safety settings on all of your social media accounts.
Thank you all so much for watching the 7th episode of Safety Snacks. If you got stuck on anything in this video or you just need some help, we'll be running a live workshop covering all this content on Thursday, July 28th at 12 p.m. ET. Feel free to join us and invite anyone else you think could benefit. And in the 8th and final episode, because I can't believe we're almost at the end of this series, we'll talk about cell phone hygiene and keeping your personal devices secure. Remember, stay safe online and don't forget to grab your next safety snack.